This is lesson 1.6 on solving equations. This lesson starts with two examples right away. The first example, example 1a. In the board game Monopoly, Boardwalk is the most expensive property. The one-time cost of the property is $1,400, while the rent earned from another player landing on it is $2,000. If n equals the number of players landing on Boardwalk, then f of n equals 2,000 times n minus 1,400. So if we look at that function, it says basically that it's every time someone lands on that boardwalk, it's $2,000, so 2,000 times n, minus that $1,400, that initial cost of it. That f of n is going to be the total profit that that owner makes for owning that piece of property after n players have landed on the property. So part A, what will be the owner's profit after 4 people land on Boardwalk? So we're going to say f of 4, and we're going to plug in 4 for all the n's in that function. Okay, I typed it there. F of 4 equals 2,000 times 4, because you're plugging 4 in for n, minus 1,400. That all equals $6,600. That's how much profit that owner will make if 4 people land on Boardwalk. So you took 2,000 times 4, which is 8,000, minus 1,400, which equals 6,600. Part B, is it possible for the owner to make exactly $10,000 in profit? Now, instead of plugging that 10,000 in for n, that's actually what that whole function is going to be equal to, because that's the profit. So we want to solve for n in this case. We want to know how many people or how many players have to land on Boardwalk for that owner to make $10,000. Okay, so I typed that and set it equal to 10,000. So I have 2,000 times n minus 1,400 equals 10,000. That's how much profit that owner wants to make. And they want to know if that owner can make exactly that. So in other words, that n value, the number of players, has to be a whole number. It cannot be a decimal point or anything, because you can't have part of a person. So to solve this, we're going to add 1,400 to both sides. So we're left with 2,000n equals 11,400. I just added 1,400 to both sides. Now I'm going to divide both sides by 2,000. And I have 11,400 divided by 2,000. I get n equals 5.7. Since I can't have 5.7 people landing on Boardwalk, that's not possible, then that owner cannot make exactly $10,000 in profit. So the answer would be no. For the next example, in the board game Monopoly, you purchase 4 houses and a hotel on Illinois Avenue for a one-time cost of $750. You will earn rent of $1,100 each time another player lands on the property. If n players land on Illinois Avenue, then your profit is f of n equals 1,100, because that's how much you earn for rent for each time someone lands on the property, times n, which is the number of players that are landing on the property, minus that initial cost you paid for that hotel and those houses of $750. So part A, what is your profit after 1 player lands on Illinois Avenue? So we're going to plug in 1 for n, because that's the number of players that we want to know. If it's 1 player landing on Illinois Avenue, we want to know our profit based on that n equals 1. So we can write it f of 1 equals 1,100 times 1, because we're plugging 1 in for n in that function, minus 750. So if we solve that, it would be 1,100 minus 750. That equals $350. That would be the profit after 1 player lands on Illinois Avenue. Part B, how many players must land on Illinois Avenue so that your profit is at least $15,000? So this time they want to make at least $15,000, and they want to know how many players have to land on that Illinois Avenue so they can have that profit. So this time you plug in 15,000 for that f of n, and you say 1,100 times n minus 750 equals 15,000. Now let's solve for n on this problem. We're going to add 750 to both sides, so we have 1100n equals 15,750. We're going to divide both sides by 1100, and we're left with n equals 14.3. Since we can't have 0.3 of a person, and they want their profit to be at least 15,000, so it can be greater than that, we know that they need to have at least 15 players land on that piece of property, because then their profit would be greater than $15,000. Okay, for the next problems, we're going to use the distributive property. For the distributive property, it says for all real numbers a, b, and c, c, and then you have the parentheses, a plus b equals c times a plus c times b. So let me write that a little better. So if you have c, and then you have a plus b in parentheses, okay, I fixed that. Basically, that number in front of the parentheses, you're going to distribute to each part of the inside the parentheses that's separated by a plus or minus sign. And that's how you get c times a plus c times b. And that could be variables or numbers that you're going to distribute to the parts inside the parentheses. So on the next video, I'm going to go through the examples that use this distributive property.